We heard glass breaking. We heard things hitting the floor, a lot of it. And when everything got quiet, and was quiet a few minutes, had everything on the floor and broken and tore up. I could hear a man hollering for help, but we couldn't see anything. There was no windows on that side of the building. And when it green, we went to the basement. Stuff was laying everywhere, in the building and out of the building. Things out in the street, stoplights, street lights, and everything was just everywhere. Scared to death.
You were down there with how many people?
If you know there's one coming, get to a safe place.
It was a cloudy, overcast day and a lot of wind. It was a warm day, really. I mean, pretty much like today, really. I think temperatures in the high 60s. I'd gone in, got dressed, come out to look out a back window to see if my wife was there yet. And that's when I looked at the skies in the southwest, and I hope I don't see those things again. Sky really was a crazy color green. I mean, it was different. I knew something wasn't right. And then as I kept looking in the southwest, I could see at the ground level, I saw a lot of stuff being sucked up and coming, and I'm thinking right away, a funnel. And by the time I ran through our auxiliary gym into the main hall of the school, it was here. The doors on the building were swinging like screen doors. About the only thing I remembered, I was worried about getting sucked out of the building. For some reason, that went through my mind. And I went through one door, got down on the floor, and I'm laying there, and I went down the hallway probably, I want to say maybe 60, 70 feet. There was a portable bulletin board that we'd put announcements on there in the hallway, and I remember banging into that thing. And so as I say, I grabbed a hold of it. I don't think it would have kept me in the building, but I had to get a little bit momentum. I had to get sucked down that hall a little bit. I had to, because I don't know how else I got there. It was just terrible sounding. The roar of the train, you hear those descriptive things, and I heard all that. And glass, just terrible sounds of glass break. As I say, the entry doors were swinging like screen doors. I mean, they were flapping. All of them were open and flapping on the hinges. So the school took a major hit, really. We had about 60% of the school was damaged. That's when I knew the green sky, I saw the hail, and what my good friend Joe Storm had told me before, you know, when you see those kind of weather changes and you know it's happening in the atmosphere, it's not good. I think probably we've become very much safety conscious, more than we've ever. I'm not afraid of storms, but I certainly fear them and respect them. And when I went downtown the next day, it was just sights you can't believe. I mean, it looked like, you know, World War II towns that had got bombed out we used to see in the movies, with, you know, no windows, and the courthouse in shambles, and cars upside down, rolled against trees, rolled against houses, maybe 4 or 5 cars together, stacked together. You just can't imagine the power of those things. So that's not something you're going to forget. There's no doubt about that.
Very good.
When I saw the green sky, I knew something was, but I guess the thing that really alerted me, I saw some clouds rolling from the north and some coming from the south, and where they met is then that's when it turned, I'd say, black. And that's when I knew that's probably a tornado. And I'm looking at it right from the front. I didn't see a funnel because it was on the ground at that time. I mean, all I saw was a lot of debris coming up, but I saw a lot of blackness in the sky. And the green stuff disappeared because all I'm looking at now is a funnel. But
I live right at the very end of the National Homes, which is an open field at the end of us, and then across from us is it's all open. And the Moose Lodge is there, which is one of the buildings that we watched explode. I mean, you just saw the housing addition behind the Moose Lodge, kind of just rubble glowing, and then just all of a sudden it was at the Moose, and the Moose just everywhere. It just went everywhere. So then it kind of went back up towards the sky, and then it come across the field, and there's big high-line wires, the big metal steel ones, and it come down again, my dad said, "Get in the house," and we ran in the house. But when we come out, we didn't have time to go anywhere. We just barely got in the house, and the front of our house was glass at the time, and so we were lucky because it didn't break those windows, but it took off our roof. Half of the end of the house was pretty much messed up, but we were lucky. We were in the front room. Everything was just shambled. I mean, there was big pine trees in front of our house, and they were over. The house across the street of it was just gone. The people were there. They just crawled out from underneath the rubble. The house next to them, but the houses on our side of the street weren't as bad. But it didn't do a lot to our house, but the house next door was pretty much gone. Well, we were, because we didn't have a roof. But a lot of them, I think, were probably without power. We went to my brother's house in Reynolds and stayed. And I know we got up the next morning and it had snowed. I never saw snow in my house before. You know, it's like you don't get snow inside your house. But we did. The railroad bridge was just lifted up and sat back down. I don't think we ever went down there to see what it looked like because we had our stuff at our own house to take care of. Then we were helping the neighbors and stuff too. So we were living in Reynolds at the time with my brother because we couldn't really stay at our house. I think everybody was still pretty scared because they didn't know what was going to happen next, but everybody was ready to rebuild. Let's clean up and move on and do it all over. You know, not ever have a tornado again. We don't want that.
Did it bring everybody closer together?
I think so. Yeah, I think it did because neighbors help neighbors, which, you know, you don't even know a lot of your neighbors, but you seem to learn who they were real fast.
It was warm early in the day, and then the next morning it snowed. But it was warm that day when blew the van off of the Washington Street Bridge and killed 6 people. People were fishing that day. It was warm.
It was a cloudy, overcast day and a lot of wind.
People were fishing that day. It was warm.
April 3rd, 1974, a day Monticello residents will never forget. They were in the middle of the worst tornado outbreak in U.S. history.
3914, we have a touchdown, 5800.
Sky really was a crazy color green. I mean, it was different. I knew something wasn't right.
An F4 multiple vortex tornado with wind speeds over 200 miles per hour ravaged the area.
It was just terrible sounding. The roar of the train, you hear those descriptive things. And
We heard glass breaking. We heard things hitting the floor.
There was little or no warning as the tornado quickly developed and raced from the southwest to the northeast at over 50 miles per hour.
So then it kind of went back up towards the sky, and then it come across the field, and it come down again. My dad said, "Get in the house."
I could hear a man hollering for help, but we couldn't see anything.
Sounds of nature's fury seemed to last forever as the #1 goal for many was just to survive.
about the only thing I remembered, I was worried about getting sucked out of the building.
This whole neighborhood been wiped out.
Once the storm had passed, folks looked outside and they knew their lives would be changed forever.
How many people you got injured up there?
Stuff was laying everywhere, in the building and out of the building. Things out in the street.
Cars upside down, rolled against trees, rolled against houses, maybe 4 or 5 cars together, stacked together.
The railroad bridge was just lifted up and sat back down.
The school took a major hit, really. We had about 60% of the school was damaged.
This tragedy helped to bring the community closer together.
Everybody was ready to rebuild. Let's clean up and move on and do it all over. You know, not ever have a tornado again.
This clock on the wall at Roosevelt Middle School today is a blunt reminder of the past and how Indiana weather can never again be taken for granted.
We've become very much safety conscious. You just can't imagine the power of those things, so that's not something you're going to forget. There's no doubt about that.